Welcome to the 24th annual art exhibit at the Lee Library called Creative Lee. We're very happy that you've joined us, and we're going to take you on a tour of this exhibit. We have some wonderful pieces to show you, and we have somebody very special for you to meet, one of our artists. And this is Linda Novick, who's a new artist to Creative Lee this year, and she has some wonderful pieces in our show. And she's going to talk about those pieces, but she's going to first start by telling us a little bit about herself. So thank you, Linda, for having your art in our show, and thank you for joining me today.
You're very welcome, Mary. I'm actually very excited to be interviewed. I haven't spoken about my artwork in a long time, so this will give me an opportunity to do that. I'm an artist. I'm also an art educator, and I've been teaching art since about 1966, which is quite a long time. I started out as a high school art teacher at Sheepshead Bay High School in Brooklyn, and then I graduated to taking groups all over the world to paint. I've taken groups to Italy, India, Peru, Mexico, Guatemala. So I've had a very interesting art education career. I've taught a lot of people how to paint. I love painting so much that it just comes naturally for me to teach painting. I'm also a yoga teacher. I teach right now. I teach chair yoga and also floor yoga. And I've taught programs at Kripalu. I was a yoga teacher at Kripalu for many years, but I also teach painting and yoga programs at Kripalu.
Neat.
So that's neat. Just in a nutshell, a little bit about me.
So how did you start painting?
I started painting when I was very young. I actually started drawing. I used to draw. I took ballet when I was a little girl, and I used to draw ballet slippers and calf muscles on dancers' legs. Whatever I was interested in, I would draw. And painting actually came a little bit later. My Aunt Faye gave me an oil painting set. I think I was about 9 years old, and that's when I actually started painting, and I actually fell in love with oil paints. I absolutely love oil paints. In fact, the two paintings that are in the show are both oil paintings.
And they're both influenced by Edward Hopper, one of my very
Absolutely.
favorite artists. So
Me too.
Yes, and I could see the comparison, and I could see the influence of Edward Hopper on your paintings. I love Edward Hopper's work.
I too love Edward Hopper. In fact, I learned a lot about light and shadow from studying his paintings. And interestingly enough, I think I got inspired to be an artist, like to be a real artist, at the Brooklyn Museum when my mom took me there. I saw paintings by Hopper, and I said, I want to do that.
Right.
I want to be able to do what he did. So therefore, I've done some paintings that are inspired by Hopper.
I've done some that are copies of his work because I couldn't afford to buy one of his paintings.
That's great.
But they're just wonderful paintings.
They are.
And they do teach you a lot about light and shadow and how to use that in your work. So that's great.
That's very true.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite painting that you've done?
I don't have a favorite painting that I've done.
Are you working on something now?
I'm not working on anything now. I actually just got finished teaching a program at Kripalu, a 3-day program called Awaken Your Inner Artist. And I actually did awaken my artist, and I'm getting ready to paint. Although right now I'm in a period where I'm integrating and I'm getting ready to paint. So I'm not working on anything currently.
And do you work on more than one painting at a time, or do you normally just work on one at a time?
One at a time.
Yeah.
One at a time. I often take a photograph of a scene that I really like, and I use it as a reference. And then once I've gotten inspired by it, Then I get my paints out and I put my canvas up, and I often use a palette knife to mix my colors. So I've been painting not with a brush lately. I've been using a palette knife. So for those of you that don't know what a palette knife is, it's a knife. It looks like a bread knife, and it's springy. So what I do is I squeeze out my colors. I take the knife and I take a glob of paint, let's say white and let's say blue, and I mix it right there on the palette. And when I get the right color consistency, then I will apply it directly to the canvas. In fact, both of these paintings started with palette knife. For example, if I might show this, this is a snowy scene in Lenox.
Right.
One day taking a walk, took a photograph, somebody's backyard. I would start very often with just going directly onto the sky and start to paint with the palette knife, and then I clean it off, or I take another palette knife and I might mix up a creamy color. So it's I just dab it until it starts to take form, and then sometimes I'll pick up a brush and maybe blend it with a brush. So, but mainly the whole mixing with the palette knife is very exciting for me.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. That's a beautiful piece. And the shadows are really wonderful in this piece.
Thank you.
The shadows, and both on the snow and in the house and houses, and are just really great. Great
Thank
shadows.
you. Thank you,
Yes,
Mary.
yeah.
And
wonderful.
you can see the Hopper influence.
Yes, you can.
You
You can see the stillness.
Yep.
And the simplicity of the building. I love Hopper's white houses also. I love his white houses, all the different white houses that he's done.
Me too. And I love his ocean scenes when he has the lighthouse with the roundness of the lighthouse. So yes, but the quietness of the snowy backyard, the starkness of the buildings.
Right, right.
Yep.
So do you want to tell us a little bit about your other painting that you have in the show?
Yes,
yes.
This is called The Yellow House, and also began painting with the palette knife. I love the green trees, the green Florida trees. This is a house in New Smyrna Beach. I stayed with a really good friend this past winter for about 3 weeks, and right across the street is this yellow house, and every time I came out, there was the house. And what I loved about the scene was there was this beautiful, simple yellow house and surrounded by these tall palm trees. So I think that was the most exciting thing about doing this painting, knowing that I could try to capture the feeling of those Florida trees and just the yellow house.
It was so brilliant.
It was so brilliant. I mean, you don't see that many yellow houses.
That's true. That's true.
So,
it's really wonderful.
Let's see. Is there anything else I want to say about this painting? Just that I like this painting.
I'm sure a lot of people have liked that painting as well. It's really a wonderful painting. So do you have any inspiration that you would like to pass on to people who have not exhibited or who are thinking about exhibiting? We don't jury in this show. We accept everybody. We love everybody's art. Everybody's art is important. And what would you say to them?
I would say, the first thing I would say is let go and paint. Like, just let go of any hesitancy you may have in your mind that you might have a conversation going on that you're not an artist. Well, everyone is an artist. The problem that stops artists from painting, or people from painting, is that some art teacher told them something that kind of shut them down, or even a parent might have discouraged them from their creativity. I would say let go and paint. And once you find out how much fun it is painting, take a chance and put your painting in a show.
Right.
And creatively is a perfect place to show your work. It's not juried. You just bring your work and
It's accepted.
it's
and nobody
accepted.
judges it.
Nobody judges it.
Right.
There's no best in show, so
Nope.
you don't have to feel competitive.
Or no favorite painting.
Exactly.
This is everybody is welcome.
Everyone is welcome. And when I didn't know, since it's my first time showing here, I didn't know how wonderful the work would be. I mean, it was like I walked in the room and I looked around. I said, "Wow, these people are really good." These people. There's a lot of really good painters here. But I think what impressed me the most is the passion and the honesty in some of these paintings. They're obviously they just let their freak flag fly.
Yeah.
They let their creativity come out, and it's like, yeah. Once you let go of what's inside, you can really express yourself. So I'm loving this show.
Thank you.
Yeah, very
That's
much.
great.
It's a great
So,
show.
Is there anything else you'd like to add to what we've talked about? Or
I think I'm going to do a plug.
Oh, good.
I'm going to make a plug.
Okay.
I teach at Kripalu Center for Yoga and Health, and I'm teaching a program next year called Awaken Your Inner Artist. I'm doing one in the spring and one in the fall. And I would just encourage anyone who feels like there's an artist living inside to sign up and take the class.
I think that's great.
And anything else, I would say just don't listen to your inner critic. Just bypass the inner critic and express yourself. Just do it.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much for sharing your artwork and for talking to me. It's been great fun to have you.
Thank you. It's been fun for me too.
And now we'll start our tour of the items in our show. And the very first item is called Creative Curves. And this was made by Mary Polari. This bowl was created by draping the clay over an object, and then once it was dry, it created these unusual shaped curves, and then it was glazed in 2 glazes to create this dramatic bowl. Mary Polari's second piece of pottery is called Green Waves. This pottery bowl was made on a potter's wheel, and she used white clay for this piece, and the white clay has manganese in it, and so when it's glazed, the tiny specks of manganese give an added dimension to the piece. The next piece is called Bowl of Flowers, and this is a piece that I made, and this piece is made on the potter's wheel. This piece is a test piece using a new glaze to our studio, and it was called Marshmallow. And I tried painting with various other glazes to see how stable this marshmallow glaze was, and this is the result. My other piece is a bowl that also was made on the potter's wheel, and it's glazed with cobalt blue, which is one of my very favorite glazes, and then the lighter stripes of blue are actually gunmetal. This next piece is very unusual, and it was created by Sharon McDonald. And this very interesting dress is titled Alice in the Moonlight. This dress was made from all recycled items, discarded ballet tutus, broken vintage jewelry, old buttons, and old fake flowers. And there's a couple photos here showing the dress being modeled by one of Sharon's ballet students. This first painting is called Excursion to Ixtapa, Mexico. And this is a watercolor painting, and it was painted by Mary Ann Fitzhugh. And Mary Ann Fitzhugh is also a member of the board of directors at the Lee Library. Mary Ann was inspired by a trip to Mexico's west coast and the Pacific Ocean, and this wonderful painting is the result. Cindy Mathias presents us with 2 of her photographs. The one on the left is called Whispers of the Forest, and this captures the falling leaves into the water. This is a beautiful, very still painting or photograph. And the photo on the right is called Shimmering Sensations, and this captures the rippling effects of the trees on the water. Both of these are quite fabulous. Ellen Miller Wolfe is a new exhibitor this year. Her first piece is titled Eagle Mill, Lee, Mass. This drawing shows the bright fall foliage in the background with the Eagle Mill, which you can just see the brickwork, and in the foreground the buildings that are right on Center Street, and that's where you would find Joe's Diner. The sketch on the right is the second piece by Ellen Miller Wolfe, and this is the old beech tree, Lee, Mass, and she's captured all the details in this piece. Sharon DeLorme, another Lee Library Board member, is painted barns, which you've seen before, and this is one of her favorite topics. Sharon is a member of the board and has been helping hang shows for many years. Both of her paintings are oil on canvas. The first one is Amish Farm. This painting also features a classic scene with horse and buggy. The second painting is Hilltop Farm. Sharon DeLorme not only features her barn, but a beautiful rock wall that sets off the barn as well as gets you to look at this beautiful sky in the background. And now we'll still stick with barns and farms. Mary E. Healy presents Le Barn, which is painted in acrylics. Unlike the other barns, her barn is featured in spring with flowers and trees, and the trees are just starting to get their leaves. And the next piece is from Elizabeth R. Cogswell, and she's another new exhibitor to Creatively. Liz loves to paint local scenes, and this is one of her favorites. And this is titled Jersey Cow at Highlawn. Elizabeth captures those expressive eyes of this beautiful animal using acrylics, and the well-known tower and barns are in the background. And Erica Florin features the Lee Library in her building. Erica is also a new exhibitor who paints in acrylics. And if you look on the top, there's an open book over the door of the library inviting everyone in. The next captivating photo was created by Sharon Wallerius and is titled Island Mist. The photo was taken at Woods Pond and developed into a photographic art form. We welcome Sharon as a new exhibitor and thank her for sharing this beautiful scene. And another new exhibitor, Richard Coulomb, presents this pen and ink work titled Crooked Studio. This piece has amazing details, especially in the rocks that make up the chimney, foundation, and walk. Cooper Mazza, aged 10, is the artist of this vibrant painting, which was done when he was 8. It's titled Rays of Sunshine. This painting is such a bright and happy painting, it would add rays of sunshine to any room. Mary E. Healy's second painting in this show is titled Bird of Paradise, and this was done in watercolors. Bird of Paradise is one of the world's best-known plants with flowers that resemble an exotic bird. Mary's painting captures that feeling of an exotic bird in flight. Sharon Wallerius' second piece in this is this beautiful photo titled The Footbridge to Woods Pond. The curved lines in this photo lead us right down to the pond. This is really a lovely photo. Roberta Rhodes, also a new exhibitor, painted Berkshire Autumn using watercolors. Roberta has captured the beauty of the fall season in her abstract scene with the techniques that she used. William R. Hall Sr. has painted 2 scenes, the first of which is titled Solitude, and both are done in acrylics. These paintings focus on calm and peacefulness from a world of many pressures. Looking at the calm waters here and the beautiful landscape, we can escape if only for a few minutes. Mary Ann Fitzhugh presents us with an oil painting inspired by her trip to Lithuania. This painting is called Visiting Vilnius. In the background is the Gediminas Tower. The castle was built around the end of the 13th century and the beginning of the 14th century and now houses a museum. Now we have 2 lovely paintings from Leni Engels. Leni's paintings are always filled with beautiful scenes, places that you'd want to spend time in and return to. The first is titled August 20 and painted with acrylics. Leni's second painting is titled Peace on the River. This scene is the perfect spot to contemplate the beauty of the place and to have some moments of peace from the hectic world. Elizabeth R. Cogswell's second piece is a watercolor titled Hylon in the 1990s, and in 2024, Hylon Farm is more popular than ever. Liz has painted all the wonderful details of these buildings for the viewer to enjoy. Astronomer and artist Rick Costello has a piece titled Our Home in the Milky Way Galaxy. This piece is large, measuring 40 by 30, and took a year and a half to complete. The stars are astronomically correct, with each star put on the canvas one at a time and in its correct location. Rick's second piece, Rick Costello, presents stargazing, and this is also done in acrylics, and this also has stars correctly positioned. Both of these pieces look as if they're three-dimensional. Amy Shermer is another new artist exhibiting in Creative Lee. Her abstract acrylic painting is Untitled. Amy left us with the instructions that this piece could be hung in any way, and this is the way we chose. She chose the colors because she found them cheerful, peaceful, the blues and purples, and energetic, the orange. Joan Mitchell is a big influence for Amy, and Joan Mitchell is an artist who lived between 1925 and 1992 who created abstract oil paintings, drawings, and prints. William R. Hall Sr.'s second piece is titled Tranquility. This is painted in acrylics. Again, Bill Hall captures a space where a person could find peace and beauty. Joan L. Davidson's painting is titled Beckett, An Almost Sunny Day, and it's painted in oil. And if you've ever looked up at the sky and see the sun coming through the clouds and it looked like this, that's exactly how Joan was feeling, and so she painted this. Joan mentioned it had been cloudy, and after the rain it was so joyous to look at the sky and see the sun peek through the clouds, and this painting is the result. Susan Hosford painted this beautiful still life in oils. The title is Still Life with Figs, after Henk Helmentel. Henk Helmentel is a contemporary Dutch painter best known for his classically composed still life paintings. His works reside within the traditions of 17th century Dutch painters, but he maintains a modern palette and sparse clarity. Sue Hosford is also on the board of directors. David Hogan, also a new exhibitor, painted this striking work which is untitled. It's acrylic on canvas, and it's bold, interesting in its placement of the various shapes, and invites the viewer to look more closely and think about the feeling you get from the use of these colors. People do stop and look at this painting more closely. Deb Sinapoli, another new exhibitor, painted the feather flock with acrylics. This was painted in 2024 and appears to give us a glimpse of feathers floating against the night sky. Bruce Laird's Still Life at Bennington College is a mixed media piece, acrylic on watercolor paper and collage. Bruce has been exhibiting in Creative Lee for several years, and we look forward to seeing his work each year and how his work is evolving. It takes time to really look at his work and see all the details, and each time you look at it, you'll see even more. Deb Sinapoli's second piece is titled The Leaves. Deb's work in this exhibit shows a lot of movement and energy, which comes from her use of some very simple strokes. James Hosford's pencil sketch, which is untitled, shows strength and fierceness from his use of shading, light, and darkness. Jim works in many media and is a very talented artist. Cooper Mazza, age 10, painted Forever Love in acrylics when he was just 8. Cooper lets us know in this painting exactly how he feels, and the colorful marks around the edge give this painting lots of life. Myron B. Hood's first piece is titled, If It Ain't Dutch, It Ain't Much, are a pair of wooden shoes that have been converted into wall sconces for candles. Myron's always producing something that's very creative for this exhibit. Another woodworking item created by Myron is titled, There's a Hole in the Tree, Dear Liza. This hole in this tree turns out to be the perfect spot for the cardinal, who chirps as everybody walks by. Another woodworking piece is by Sam Sorrentino, and this is a carved bird. This piece shows another example of Sam's woodworking talents. Barbara Norton's acrylic paintings show her talent with painting animals and especially painting their eyes. The first piece is titled Zebra in the Shadows, and it's a very striking and bold painting. Barbara Norton's second piece, Owl in the Shadows, is equally dramatic and striking, and it's very interesting to see how Barbara gives this painting such detail. Also very bold and striking is our next piece titled Twist and Turn, and this is an example of contemporary quilting created by Diane Westpizer. This appears to be such a complicated pattern, and then added to that is the waves of quilting that's done. With this piece, you see different patterns and twists each time you look at it. Joan L. Davidson's second piece is an oil-on canvas work titled Parallel Rhythms of Life and Dance, and this is a mixed media work. Joan wrote that the source for this was the dance Swan Lake, the music and choreography by Hofesh Sector in 2021, and it was performed at Jacob's Pillow in July 2023. Joan found that the similarity between the hypnotic beat and repetitive wild gestures made by individuals and groups of dancers and our complex, repetitive, harrowing, and unexpected social issues documented in news headlines inspired her to create this image. Our next pieces are by Mario Calori, and Mario has been an exhibitor in this show right from the start, and it's always wonderful to see what he'll bring to share with us. The first piece is Up and Away using acrylics on canvas. Mario's statement is that there is no doubt about this image. It clearly suggests flight, and indeed it does. But it could also suggest physical flight as well as a certain psychological flight, a positive inner feeling. Mario's second piece is Enjoy the Moment. Again, this piece suggests something positive, a somewhat joyful satisfaction with the present. Both of Mario's pieces show lots of energy and movement and are very complex, just as the messages that they are presenting. Bruce Laird's second piece is Looking Within, a mixed media acrylic on watercolor paper photograph. When I look at Bruce's work, I feel like we're seeing his creative juices just exploding. His pieces take a lot of study and thought and lead to lots of discussion. I'm sure each person that looks at this piece sees it differently as it relates to their own experiences. Another new exhibitor is Jane Langer. Her first work in the show is an acrylic painting titled Birch Forest. Jane has highlighted each of the birches in a very special way with deep shadows and different foliage around them. Amy Shermer's second painting in this show is an acrylic that was inspired by the style and colors used by the Mexican artist Frida Kahlo and translated into the still life of a vase of flowers. Frida Kahlo has become an icon of the people because of her unique personality and multifaceted life. She has become a standard bearer for women's inner strength, for a love of Mexico and its culture. Sandra Hayes, another board member, and you might notice that we have many talented board members at the Lee Library, likes to paint in themes or series. This painting is part of her garden gift series and is titled Tim's Bloom. This is a detailed painting of one of Tim's peonies. Sandra Hayes' second painting in the garden series is Welcome Butterflies. This shows the butterflies with hyacinths and cosmos in Sandra's beautiful garden. These two paintings are done in acrylics on canvas. Richard Colum's second work is titled Number 39 and is done in pen and ink. Richard shows the strength of this huge tree and the details of the trunks and branches with shading and colors that give texture to the bark. Tracy Etheridge's crocheted lace doily becomes a piece of art when framed to show the symmetry of the pattern and the detail of the work. We have so many beautiful items around us that are created by hand but go unnoticed until we see them displayed something like this or look at them very closely. Kate Mayotte, age 7, our youngest exhibitor in this show, has created Love in the Sky using colored pencils. Kate has tucked in the heart among the stars and created this wonderful drawing. We look forward to seeing more of Kate's art in the future. Jane Langer's second piece is titled Pumpkin Bucket, an acrylic painting. This is a perfect fall painting with the background setting off and reflecting the colors of the pumpkins. We'll look forward to seeing more of Jane's work in the future as well. Georgia Westpizer, age 8, created this piece with her grandma, Diane Westpizer, as a practice to learn to sew. This is a modern sampler with wonderful colors and vertical quilting that sets off the stripes of the fabric. Georgia has definitely inherited the family quilting gene. Evelyn Mayotte's work is titled Warning, Reader's Choice. This is a paper bag and magazine collage showing a minute sample of all the messages we are getting in our daily lives. The bottom message, though, is the one I'd like to focus on, which is Superstar, and that would apply to all the artists who have shared their work with us in Creatively. Thank you so much. These woodworking pieces are created by Sam Sorrentino. We have a dreidel gift box, which spins, and then inside you can also tuck in a very lovely gift. And another is a beautiful heart, and the heart has great graining of the wood that emphasizes the shape of the bowl. And the third is an ornament made with dyed plywood and maple. Sam is a very talented woodworker, and his shop is located near Joe's Diner. Tracy Etheridge, a staff member at the Lee Library, created Prince Charming. This is a crocheted piece with a tatted crown. The next piece is a children's book by Jim Hosford. Jim wrote and illustrated this charming book for his grandsons. Not only is this a wonderful book, but it also has a very important lesson as well. And this next piece is a congratulations to Jeff Morse, one of our knitters, who has won another blue ribbon at the Big E. And so congratulations, Jeff. We love to see your knitting. Now I'd like to thank the Lee Library Board of Directors for sponsoring our show, and the board and staff for hanging the show. And a special thank you for Joe Fuchsia to help us show this wonderful show to our community via CTSB. Thank you, CTSB.